Hey y'all, it's your girl Nakiya. So I'm here to help you get into law school or thrive if you're already in law school. So I have my notes, I have my ice cold drink. Let's get to talking. So we're gonna give you a checklist, kind of like a roadmap of things that you should take into consideration when you're applying to law school and some things that you will need to apply to law school. So first and foremost, that GPA matters. Now, while the GPA is not everything, it is one of the biggest factors that law schools typically look into. And one thing that I do want to talk about is a myth that most people probably hear when you're on the pre-law track, which is that you have to major in something law related. You do not. You can major in anything. As a matter of fact, there are some majors that are non-law related that have been shown to actually help people in law school. Some people major in English, philosophy, sociology, and they find that this helps. I was a political science major, and while it might have helped me a little bit because some of my courses aligned with something that I might have learned in like criminal law, overall, it didn't really make a big difference to me. I felt like I was starting on equal footing with everybody who came into law school for the most part. But your GPA matters no matter what you major in. And focus on getting the best grades that you can, but understand when they look at your transcript, they're also looking at what major you were in, as in, was it a really hard major, and what classes you were in. So if you were an engineering major, that might be way harder than someone who did a different major, and they're gonna look at those classes, and while your grades are important, they're going to take into consideration that you were taking harder classes. So that is also brought to the attention at the administration board, and that's also something that they're looking for. Create your LSAC account. If you don't know what the LSAC is, welcome, okay? So the LSAC is where you register for your LSATs, which is where you can apply for the LSAC fee waiver, which we'll talk a little bit more about. It's where you purchase your credentials assembly service and where you submit your law school applications and keep track of your law school journey. So if you've never looked at the LSAC website, I urge you to take a look at it and get familiar with it because it's going to be really important later on. Now, back to that LSAC fee waiver. A lot of people might not have ever heard of the LSAC fee waiver. I didn't hear about it until I applied for my LSAT for the second time, but I wish I knew before. So now I'm gonna tell you. So, whether or not you qualify, apply anyway, just to see what happens, because this could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because when I got the LSAT fee waiver, I was able to get free LSAT registrations, free LSAT prep services and resources. My application fees for multiple law schools were waived. And this is something that I recommend looking into. The faster you can look at it and apply, do it. And even if you're not 100% sure if you qualify, apply anyway. You never know what could happen. Next, study for the LSAT. If you're a person who can walk into an exam and ace it without studying, congratulations. I'm not one of those people. And if you're not one of those people, that is okay. Study for your LSAT because it's going to be one of the biggest impacts when you're getting admitted to law schools, whether that's based on if you're admitted or waitlisted, your scholarship money you will receive. This can play a really big role. And there are a lot of law schools that have high medians for the LSATs, but if you've already taken your LSAT and it's not the highest score, do not fret. It is okay. The LSAT is not everything, but having a high LSAT score can be a game changer. Build your resume. Leadership, internships, community service, research, work experience, and extracurricular activities all help tell your story outside of the classroom. Whether this is you've been doing community service for a multitude of places, or maybe one place specifically, whether you're in a sorority or a fraternity and you have done leadership positions on there, or maybe you're just a regular member, whether you're a part of a pre-law or a pre-anything else organization, those can be really important. And even just internships and externships where you've been able to gather some work experience in any type of field, and you just have your different skill sets because of it. Ask for letters of recommendation, but I want to caveat this. Make sure you're getting quality letters of recommendation. Choose professors, advisors, mentors who know your work really well, and give them plenty of chance to write a detailed, unique, thoughtful letter. You want to make sure that these letters of recommendation speak to your character, speak to your work ethic, and they can go into detail. You don't want something that seems like a copy and paste template, because law school administrators are going to know the difference between somebody who is able to fully advocate for how hardworking you are, your work ethic, and how important you are to the team, versus something that just says, they were a good worker. That makes a difference, because they get to see how hardworking you are, and in law school, you have to be able to work hard, and you also have to be able to work independently sometimes. Number 7, your personal statement. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, because this is the opportunity for you to speak directly to the administration committee. It's where they finally get to hear your voice beyond the numbers, and also this is your opportunity to tell the board your story. And no one knows your story better than you. So this also is a really good opportunity for them to start to see if you would be a good fit into their program. By the time they read your personal statement, they should have an idea of who are you, what is your story or your background, what makes you want to go to law school, and why you would fit into their program, what makes you want to apply to their program. So I would say that some great topics to write about is if you have to work throughout your university or your childhood in order to be able to afford to live or to be able to afford to go to university, and maybe this is a reason why your GPA might not be as high. That's something you can write about, because it's an original story and it tells them a little bit about yourself. Also, I was scared to write about something that seemed like it was trauma dumping, but I had to understand that no matter what happened in my past, it was still my story. And it still played a role into why I wanted to go to law school. So I would dedicate at least 2 months to it, so that way you can make sure you're writing a concise story that answers the who you are, how'd you start this journey on wanting to go to law school, why do you want to go to law school, what impact would you make if you were to be in law school or an attorney, and why this law school. I would recommend that this be about 2 to 3 pages, 3 being a stretch. But they should be able to read your personal statement and feel like they know a little bit about who you are, your why, and also why you want to go to law school, so they can start envisioning you at their institution. For number 8, let's talk about completing optional essays and addendums. Everyone does not need to complete an addendum. An addendum is something that you can use to strengthen your application or to explain something that you might think is important to know. Going back to the example of if you had to work all throughout university to be able to afford university, and maybe that caused your grades to dip a little bit, you can write an addendum to explain that. And that way they can get a clearer view on who you are as a person, and maybe what adversity you were dealing with as you were trying to complete your university journey. Next, I would understand that addendums can strengthen your application, but they can also weaken them if you're writing them and you don't need to. So before you decide to write an addendum, learn a little bit more about them and see if they really are going to help you or hurt you. When I was applying for law school, we had the option of writing a diversity statement, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to be able to give them a little bit more of my story, but also to get to speak about something a little bit more narrow that I didn't get to cover in my personal statement. Next, let's talk about researching law schools. Don't just look up a law school ranking, because they change, and you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket just because a law school ranks high. I know that there's like this thing called the T14 or bust. I would ignore that. There are law schools that might specialize in things that you're interested in. So if you're really interested in environmental law, maybe children's advocacy, There might be some law schools that have programs specifically for that, and you should definitely check for that. But do not let a law school ranking deter you from applying to a law school, because at the end of the day, it does not matter what a law school ranks if you are unable to pass the bar. It does not matter where your law school ranks if you are unable to be a good attorney once you have passed the bar. Your law school is going to teach you how to get to being an attorney, how to think like an attorney. It is not going to determine your whole future. Next, let's talk about some other things you should think about when you're applying to law school. You should compare scholarships, the cost of living, the employment outcomes, the GPA requirements, not only to get into the law school, but GPA requirements you're going to have to maintain through law school in order not to get academically dismissed. Because there are differences in GPAs based on what their curve is. Now, the grading curve is going to be what is the average student going to get in that class. And some curves are considered predatory, where they do not lean towards the average law student's favor. And therefore, there are going to be a certain amount of students at the end of their first year who are academically dismissed. You need to know that in advance, because while you might not be thinking about the idea of you being academically dismissed, it can happen. So make sure you pick a school that doesn't have a predatory curve, because that could be a big difference. Next, where are the school's bar passage rates? Look at it from the most recent, so I would look at maybe the last 5 years as well. See if they're inclining, declining, because ultimately, if you go to law school and want to take the bar, you want to know how well people who have gone to that law school have done on the bar. Look at clinics and externships. If that's something that you might want to take advantage of, see if your law school offers them, and if they do, see if they have partnerships with organizations or firms that you might be interested in working with. Next, I would suggest that if possible, go to a law school in the state where you want to practice when you graduate. If you're not sure, that is okay, but that's something I would also take a look into. It's something that I thought about that might not be the biggest deal to everybody else. I looked at the weather. I know that I do not like a place that is cold most of the year. So I made sure to apply to law schools, or my top law schools were in places that weren't cold most of the year, because you're going to be living in that state for 3 years. It's important that you like where you are. Next, let's talk about submitting your applications and a recommended timeline. So, submit your applications early if possible. Why? Because many law schools have a rolling admissions, so applying earlier can improve your chance for admissions and scholarships. And now let's talk about the timing. If you're applying during your senior year of college, the spring of your junior year, you need to start researching law schools. Create your LSAC account and apply for the LSAC fee waiver just to see if you're eligible. Next, the summer before your senior year, begin studying for the LSAT. Build your school list and start brainstorming ideas for your personal statement. In the early fall, take the LSAT if you're ready and ask for recommendation letters. Polish your resume and begin drafting your application materials. This is also a really good time to take a look at your social media. Because we do live in the age of technology, this means more than ever, not only are schools and people who are hiring you looking at what you're putting out into social media and online, everyone is. So if you have some stuff on your social media that you shouldn't, I would recommend this being the time where you do a deep dive and a deep scrub. In the fall, complete your applications and submit them as early as possible. If you do not want to submit your applications early, that is okay. In the winter and spring, watch your application status. This is more of a time for the people who have not submitted their applications to truly look at the deadlines for different law schools, because they are not at the same time, and some of them are different. So if you have not submitted your applications by this time, you should start submitting your applications by this time and check the deadlines. Respond to any requests from schools, compare financial aid packages and scholarship offers. I also highly recommend that when you are getting these offers, ask them for more money. I said it, ask them for more money. If you didn't get a full ride, but maybe you got a full ride somewhere else, or you got a better package offer somewhere else, but your top law school or a higher up law school and your rankings has reached out to you, do not be afraid to email the Dean of Admissions and tell them, hey, I really want to go to your school, but the only thing that's holding me back is the finances. Is there any way that I can get more money? I was able to get this type of scholarship package from this school just for a comparison. It is okay to ask for more money. It is much better to ask and be told no than to leave money on the table because you didn't ask a question. Next, visit schools if possible. So that way you can get an understanding of the area, how much it would take to live there, and also it's better to have an idea of your surroundings before you start attending the school. So that way you can feel more comfortable and confident on the first day of school. Then decide where you want to attend. It might sound like a lot, but I promise you it becomes much more manageable when you break it down step by step. So I plan to talk about some of these aspects in individual videos in order to be able to touch on everything that I wish that I knew applying to law school so you can know. But it's also almost time for people to really start thinking about their first year law school if they've already been admitted. So you're also going to see some videos for me about what I wish I knew my 1L year and any recommendations that I would have. So now you're one step closer to law school, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.